Good morning, church, and happy Tuesday. It is September the 5th, 2023. Now, yesterday was Labor Day, and first of all, I hope you didn't have to work. But if you did, I hope that it was a rather, easier Monday morning than normal because it was Labor Day. But for the rest of us who did not have to work, I hope that you were able to just take some time and step back from some things and rest and relax and spend time with some loved ones. I know for me, I was able to step back from some things that I'm normally responsible for, take a break, and just spend time with some family and friends I don't normally get to spend time with, fellowship wise. And even when I see them, it's usually all business. And so it was nice to just recharge. In a friendly environment with people that I care about, that I know cares about me, and now it's Tuesday, back to, the normal grind, right? It is, we're going to talk about trust uncompromised today in our Worship the King devotion, because we're back. I took the whole weekend off, and now it's Tuesday morning, and I got all this stuff that still sitting there waiting on me, or things that are looking at me that I need to deal with, and I know you do too. So the title today is called Trust Uncompromised. It's coming from Isaiah 37, 1 through 20. So I'll read that now. When King Hezekiah heard their report, he tore his clothes and put on burlap, and went into the temple of the Lord, and he sent Eliakim, the palace administrator, Shebna, the court secretary, and the leading priests, all dressed in burlap, to the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos. They told him, "This is what King Hezekiah says. Today is a day of trouble, insults, and disgrace. It is like when a child is ready to be born, but the mother has no strength to deliver the baby. But perhaps the Lord your God has heard the Assyrian chief of staff, sent by the king to defy the living God, and will punish him for his words. Oh, pray for those of us who are left." After King Hezekiah's officials delivered the king's message to Isaiah, the prophet replied, "Say to your master, this is what the Lord says. Do not be disturbed by this blasphemous speech against me from the Assyrian king's messengers. Listen, I myself will move against him, and the king will receive a message that he is needed at home, so he will return to his land, where I will have him killed with a sword." Meanwhile, the Assyrian chief of staff left Jerusalem and went to consult the king of Assyria, who had left and was attacking Libnah. Soon afterward, King Sennacherib, I butchered that, but the king received word that King Tirhakah of Ethiopia was leading an army to fight against him. Before leaving to meet the attack, he sent messengers back to Hezekiah in Jerusalem with this message. This message is for King Hezekiah of Judah. Don't let your God in whom you trust deceive you with promises that Jerusalem will not be captured by the king of Assyria. You know perfectly well what the kings of Assyria have done wherever they have gone. They have completely destroyed everyone who stood in their way. Why should you be any different? Have the gods of other nations rescued them? Such nations as Gozan, Haran, Rezeph, and the people of Eden who were in Telassar, my predecessors destroyed them all. What happened to the king of Hamath and the king of Arpad? What happened to the kings of Sepharvaim, Hena, and Eva? After Hezekiah received a letter from the messengers and read it, he went up to the Lord's temple and spread it out before the Lord. And Hezekiah prayed this prayer before the Lord. O Lord of heaven's armies, God of Israel, you are enthroned between the mighty cherubim. You alone are God of all the kingdoms of the earth. You alone created the heavens and the earth. Bend down, O Lord, and listen. Open your eyes, O Lord, and see. Listen to this king's words of defiance against the living God. It is true, Lord, that the kings of Assyria have destroyed all these nations, and they have thrown the gods of these nations into the fire and burned them. But of course the Assyrians could destroy them. They were not gods at all, only idols of wood and stone shaped by human hands. Now, O Lord, our God, rescue us from his power. Then all the kingdoms of the earth will know that you alone, O Lord, are God. I want to encourage you to go back and read the whole chapter of Isaiah 37. I don't have time for that today, but it is an interesting ending to that beginning right there. But the key verse today, trust uncompromised, right? From Isaiah 37, 1 through 20. The key verse is verse 3 that says, "This day is a day of distress and rebuke and disgrace, as when children come to the point of birth and there is no strength to deliver them." Let's just read this. God had invested a lot in Israel. The nation had been through seasons of exuberant celebration over God's mercies and power, and it had been through seasons of open rebellion and dreadful consequences. Through it all, God had been faithful, upholding his covenant even while disciplining his children. But now the situation looked bleak. The Assyrians were surrounding Jerusalem and had the power to destroy it. King Hezekiah was in a jam. The questions God had addressed through Isaiah in the first 35 chapters of this book all led up to this point. Is our God unique, or is he one of many gods among the nations? Does salvation come through political alliances or through God's power? When circumstances look impossible, can compromise make the best of a bad situation? We know the answers to these questions, especially having read Israel's history and Isaiah's prophecy. We know the end of the story, but if we were within the walls of a surrounded city, listening to the taunts of a God-mocking general who had already destroyed all the cities that he had previously attacked, we might waver between faith and compromise as Hezekiah did. We might see our nation, our church, or our family as a project God had started but was now aborting, leaving alone. We might feel the shame of bringing a baby to term and not having the strength to deliver it. As uncomfortable as it is, that's a great situation to be in if and only if it prompts us to put down our strategies and trust in God. Those who compromise their worship of God by bowing to the dictates of circumstances will never find rest. But biblical faith looks beyond walls, looks beyond surrounding armies, and looks beyond excruciating labor pains. It sees the God above them all, and it believes in him. Trust uncompromised. The quote today is from Victor Raymond Edman, which says, "Never doubt in the dark what God told you in the light." Never doubt in the dark what God told you in the light. Go through the rest of this week with uncompromised trust. You guys keep praying for me, and I'll keep praying for you.